Morning, sir. I want to begin with this list of topics that I have to mail to you so that I'll have a counter check. Now, once I declare to you that yes, this is what I have to give, you will start pestering me and those are the 8 topics.
Union Steward, the models you have set down, only that is enough.
I think we had some kind of discussion also in the class. I don't, yeah, that should be more or less a running notes, and let's see how you would perform in the test based on that. Well, those are the topics I am reading out. Salin Service, Gordon Child, Conklin Tyler, small fellows. And then Sankalia, Brucefoot, Shivalix, Bhimbetka, Burza Home for significance. It's always important to have a counter check. Are you still finding difficulty in uploading your scripts? Somebody had mailed one script yesterday saying that uploading is not being done. Are you given codes, all of you? Are you able to upload? One request is, when you are submitting assignments, submit along with in the assignments folder. When you are submitting your tests, that has to be in the other one. Don't jumble them. That is one more job that is created to me. Don't do that. And if at all any further problems are there, clarify as soon as possible. It's high time. We should have stopped speaking of all those things. Now, in the last class, we were talking about astrology. Did you go through at home? At least these next 4 or 5 days, you will have to make sure that you go through what you have written in the notes. Things will not be so very tough and grand. It's only that you should know certain significant factual information with a bit of understanding, of course. The understanding is the processes that must have happened in the line of evolution, how before the arrival of genus Homo, how various things were actually falling in place. So what we will do is, I think we have written about South African astrology. Pick up a rough sheet, don't look back into your notes, pick up a rough sheet and write down the names of South African astrology regions, the places where from they have discovered astrology fossils. I think 4, 5 names, not more than that. Right? Suppose English spellings problem is there, write in your own language. It shouldn't take more than a minute. I recommend the students to have small scribbling pads in the pocket so that whenever you do the rough work, you are doing there, instead of every day, violently tearing papers from your book. And I should see the emotion when you are tearing the paper. It's like Draupadi Chiraharan. Bataiye ma'am, jaldi se. Tong, nobody should be, I think all of you must be writing tong, very nice. And what are the other sides? I'll write down. Tong. Ji sir? Quite. Is literally South African side? No. Or? Rendu kalapadu, don't mix up the names. Sterkfontein. Strauss-Krons and Kromdroy. Anything else? There was one. చిద్విలాసంగా వేరు నా తెలుగు బాగుంటుందా? And towards the end of our course, I can recite some of the Telugu poems that I have written. Let's see. I'm an ardent fan of Sri Sri, so my poems are also equally violent. The other day, one of our friends was saying, how is it that you became so docile? I don't know. Sometimes even tigers can be tamed, maybe silenced. These are those sites, sir. Any particular person who was involved with this region? Raymond Dart, not to forget. The other day, a class fellow of yours was saying, ఏం మాట్లాడుతున్నారు అర్థం కావట్లేదండి. And his meaning that he is not understanding what I am speaking in the class. His grouse is that he is not able to ask a question also. How to frame a question that this is my doubt. Then that's a test for me. If a student is actually finding it difficult to ask a question also, meaning that I must have failed somewhere miserably. So don't fail me, sir, please. If you are failing, it's not that you are failing, it's a big question on my own existence. And especially, sir, I don't blame you for not understanding, because the kind of topics we started with are as such. It's only for UPSC, otherwise I don't think you would be interested in studying all that stuff. And the things that you must not have imagined before joining the course. I am sure if you were aware of this type of a content being discussed in the class, I am sure you would not have opted the subject at all. But then don't worry, sir. Every day has got one daylight and a night. So I am sure that Kal Ratri is going to come to an end. And then you will have beautiful days ahead. Sunny days, happy days. One request is that you will have to study whatever you are writing religiously on the same day at least twice. Put your heart and read what you have written in the class notes. Nothing more than that. I don't want you to refer to all library notes and kind of things. We don't want such kind of laborious things. I don't want to overload your shoulders, tender ones. Only thing is, whatever 3-4 pages, I'm not sure, no, you might not be writing more than that, 3 or 4 pages. Those 3 or 4 pages, khada? Huh? I take it as a compliment actually. And then, sir, in your batch, I have been introducing some of the topics. See, it generally happens like this. I don't know whether I should say this in the class in an open forum, but because you will have to know what I actually plan to do in the things. No course will be 100% done. At least a 10 to 15% of the topics will be dropped based on insignificance for that year. So it will be like, certain topics I'm doing in this year's batch, and certain I'm dropping, and certain others I'm picking up in the next year's batch, based on what is significant for that year. That is the reason why, suppose some, and also it's something like this. Year after year, when certain new things are coming up in the news, I feel good to say this. Somebody who must have done the course 3 or 4 years ago, he would be definitely jealous of the people who would be doing now. That's not his problem. He was born, at that time we can't help it. But if we see the performance of the students who are the newcomers to the discipline, when more and more details are added, more interesting things are coming, you are better equipped than somebody who had done the course a couple of years ago. And because of this factor, in your batch there were certain things that I must not have discussed with anybody else earlier. I alone know that. So don't miss out on certain things like question discussions that we are doing, or certain topics when I use them in the class, though they were not given in the syllabus. It is because for that year they are very much important. Now you may ask a question, what for the next year? We will see that also. That is also my responsibility. So I'll have to say here that we are not making you do all kinds of rotten things. Maybe certain things that are less significant we will be dropping based on the year. And don't give it a very advertising thing. Ma'am said that she doesn't do the syllabus completely kind of a thing. No, it's not that way. Sir, we will be doing with the East African thing. You have actually taken down this list yesterday, but keep your map in front of you as you keep writing the details. Sir, one of the sites that we have map in the sense that the one that you have drawn of Africa map with certain sites in Eastern Africa you have drawn. I'm sure you have drawn. Oh. So out of all those sites, there was one very popular. We knew this right from the first day you were born in anthropology. This is Italy, ma'am. Eastern Africa. So we'll start with this. Keep writing, and can you scribble the map once again here for my convenience, your convenience? Africa map. I am showing it again to you. Do that again. I'm so sorry for the kind of, we'll see. Laetoli, Olduvai, Hadar, and today we will be watching one documentary that runs into about 45 minutes, so good movie time today. ये पता नहीं कलर चेंज नहीं हो रहा है. I don't know. The rest of them are changing. This is not changing. Super. Anyways, you have anyway drew the map earlier, so I am so sorry for that. So, what were the recent movies that you have seen? Huh? Uh-huh. Fidana. Did we not write these things earlier? Who remembers? Who is bothered? In traffic, atu itu. Can you lock the door there? Kindly lock the door. Don't open it. Can I start? You checked with the Dropbox link? Huh? So what I will do is I'll place one, you should do this thing. I mean, whenever you are finding new area in that Dropbox link, you try to download and preserve them with you. Based on the necessity, I might remove things from there. So later, you should not again ask for me. For the Saturday's entertainment, because Saturday after your test you will be quite exhausted. So for the Saturday's entertainment, I will be placing one movie there with the title Ape to Human. That's about 1.5 hours of movie. That's really interesting. I want you to go through it and take down all the facts that are mentioned there. And maybe the movie also you can keep so that you can show to your family. Start writing, sir. East African astrolabe. East African astrolabe lived in an ecosystem that was different from Southern Africa. The Rift Valley, lakes and flood plains mostly provided terrestrial living to East African astrolabe. The region is convenient to apply dating methods such as potassium argon and uranium as it is dotted by several volcanoes and more frequent volcanic activity. The regions where this characteristic is absent, presence of sedimentary layers provided better opportunities for fossilization and for dating the fossils based on stratigraphy. Take down some of the important sites. We'll start with this one, Olduvai. What do you know about Olduvai so far? Can you recall? That is that site. Forget about them. What is it that you can recall about? Which cultural age was discovered there? Lower Paleolithic. Any particular person we spoke of when you are doing cultural ages? Olduvai. Okay, what kind of tools? Chop, all the lower Paleolithic tools? All the lower Paleolithic? Or any particular combination? A combination of hand axes and cleavers. What is that name given to the combination of hand axes, cleavers, chopping tools? Acheulean tradition. No, keep writing. Number 1, Olduvai. The most important East African lower Paleolithic site located in Tanzania and discovered by the Leakeys, plural is yes, Leakeys in 1959. The Leakey fossil contained a complete cranium without the lower jaw. It was initially named Zinjanthropus bossi. Later changed to Paranthropus bossi and currently called the robust variant of Astrolo, named as Australopithecus bossy. So this very site will come up later in the Homo erectus also, make a note there. In the later years, the same region provided evidence of Homo habilis in 1964. According to one of the paleontologists, associated with habilis discoveries called Robinson. Zinjanthropus was the same as Australopithecus bossy and Homo habilis was nothing but Australopithecus africanus. His opinion is currently accepted partially. Full stop. Homo habilis is way ahead of Africanus, in the entire physical makeup. And currently, there are a large variety of habilis-based evolutionary theories. Right in the brackets there, to be discussed along with erectus. Exam lo raayaddatlaga to be discussed along with rastar నాకు తెలుసు. Right down. There's another name to be remembered. According to Tobias, that is another name of an archaeologist. According to Tobias, the robust astrolo, that is Australopithecus bossy and Australopithecus robustus. Every time you are not required to write Australopithecus, you know? The genus name you can simply write as A. According to Tobias, the robust Australo, that is Australobossy and Australorobustus, along with the gracile varieties such as Africanus got extinct, leaving only Homo habilis, leaving only Homo habilis to evolve into Homo sapiens. Some unknown ancestor was there. This was Tobias' idea. But when he was writing, not many fossils were known to him. All these three got extinct. What was left out was only habilis, that eventually had given rise to erectus and sapiens. So he was trying to find out who could be that common ancestor. Can I go? Keep writing. The site of Omo, take the next name, Omo, O-M-O, located in the Lake Turkana. Located in the Lake Turkana region and presented both the variants of astrolo, एक minute sir, don't mind. That is robustus and gracile. Robustus and gracile. It was first studied in 1960s. By Clark Hommel, studied in 1960s by Clark Hommel, and in 1970s, that is the name, Clark Hommel, and in 1970s by the Leakeys. The next slide there, Hadar, Ethiopia. Discovered in 1973, HADAR, Masteru. Discovered in 1973, where the fossil specimen was of a gracile variety, with the same site yielding considerable presence of robust astrolo. Sir, in the objective type of questions, you may get questions like which are the sites where the combination is found, If that is the detail that you are studying, you will be able to write your full-fledged answers in a proper way. And sir, one request is that don't throw points in the exam. When you are writing an answer, see to it that you write interconnected sentences. You should not write one sentence from the east, one from the west, and leave it to the examiner to. It looks very violent for me, very difficult. And दिल खोल के लिखो. I mean, it's बंद मत रहो ऐसे. No, you should actually feel at home with the paper. Whatever you have understood, you try to express them. Expression I have written in some of the scripts. Expression is the problem. You might be having the facts. Mere facts will not be sufficient. You will have to express yourself. Tell a story. But then you should write in a way that examiner also feels, okay, this fellow understands what I am asking. And many scripts I am still finding, whatever may be the question, I will write what I want. You will anyway do that if there is a problem. But then, sir, next time whenever you are writing, understand the question. Something like Sanskritization, Westernization, kuch tha? I mean, not for you, I think. There was some other question. Taylor versus Morgan wala. At many places, I don't see that you are bringing them together. Bring the two topics together and then try to present the answer. The examiner should know that you have understood the question. अच्छा वो आपका क्वेश्चन था फर्स्ट वाला disappearance of useless or useful arts. Thankfully, many people could recognize maybe that you are writing the exam very fresh from the class. I don't know if the same question is asked next year to you, whether you will be able to recall. And suppose you did not remember, you do not remember at that particular moment, at least you understand the spirit of it. Nobody else has said something of that kind which Rivers has said. So you can actually go with a blind guess there, trying to write the meaning of it and what could be the result of that, and who all people have dealt with such kind of things. So try to see to it that you write an answer which goes with the. ऐसा नहीं कि बिरयानी में सांबार खा रहे. No, that should not be a combination, right? Some people are there who do that also. Hadar Fazil, మనం మారలేదుగా, రండి. Hadar Fazil yielded the first near complete Australospecimen with both cranial and postcranial bones from the same individual. Probably the fossil was female. According to the pelvic studies, and hence named Lucy fossil. It is actually the gracile Australopithecus afarensis. Underline that word, Australopithecus afarensis. Dated to about 4 million years ago. This initial date was challenged, and the same fossil was subjected to a good number of dating methods. It is now confirmed to be the individual that existed between 4.5 and 3.5 million years ago. Continue writing in that same paragraph. The hominid characteristics such as dentition, bipedalism, and arrival of flattening of face, and free upper limbs made afferences find place in the hominid evolution. Write the other one. Latterly of Tanzania. It presented a large number of footprints of different species including the bipedal hominids preserved in the volcanic ash of about 3.7 million years ago. The foot impressions indicate two individuals who were definitely bipeds. One of the individuals must have had a huge stature and body, stature and body indicated in the larger size of the footprint. The other set was small, maybe indicating an young individual or a female that might be almost half the body weight and the size of the male. Such a conclusion is based on the observation of gorillas or orangutan where females are half the size and weight of the males. Keep writing there. One cannot conclude definitely on the perfect erect posture of the individuals from the footprints. But they being bipeds, can be safely agreed upon.
These footprints are of species or Homo species? Appearances or
See, it's like this. Their confirmation regarding whether they are Australo or Homo, one was based on the time to which the layer belongs. The layer was 3.7, 3.6 million years ago, at which point of time Homo did not originate. So definitely it is not Homo. But then the feet does not give us a confirmation about existence or not of the foot arches, that based on which they say that, and also the neighboring layers within the region, the neighboring layers had produced Australo evidences. So it is quite possible that it might be theirs. So it is all the story based on imagination. You don't see anything there, you are only seeing the mark there. It's as good as you see the pug mark in the jungle and you try to trace out, okay, how many tigers must be there. It's as simple as that is.
the first proper erect posture is Homo erectus. This fossil is shown.
Erect is different, bipedal is different. Bipedal is, you may walk on the 2 feet, may not be so accurately, so gracefully in that erect posture. For erect posture to emerge, several other things also have to get added up.
Postcranial features, what are the cranial and
This is cranial, this is postcranial.
all the bipedalism and
Everything right from your shoulders to the feet. Right, this heading, sir. Classification based on body size. Classification based on body size. So this is the basic classification which you may make a note. Not all the species you will be describing, but I have given a gap to indicate that these were the much later finds confirmed after 2000, 1998, 2000. So classification based on the body size, these are all the gracile, those are the robust fellows. So based on the small differences, they try to place them in different species. So suppose the question is Australopithecines. You may mention all of them, that this is the classification based on the body size. And sir, whenever you are introducing an answer, show your exact feel of that particular topic. Don't directly jump to ante kavitvam rayamani kaadu, but some kind of a broad conclusion that you might make, or you might be having some idea about the whole thing. Your total idea has to be crystallized in those 1 or 2 sentences in the first paragraph. So suppose the question is Australopithecines. You say that this is one of the fellows in the hominids, which is defined as a combination of Australo and the genus Homo. And also make a mention that Australo being incorporated along with the other Homo fossils, it indicates the importance of Australo as maybe a missing link in the evolutionary process. And then whole lot of other stories you can, like large varieties are there. The struggle has been to identify which is our immediate ancestor to genus Homo. And then you say that these are the various names that are generally occurring. I'm reading out for you. Africanus, Afarensis, Ramidus, Anamensis, Ethiopicus, Garhi, Propleopithecus, and certain other fellows. We don't expect the student to write about each and every species there. Afarensis and Africanus, there is no choice for you. You will have to write about them. Principally because one we had seen in the eastern part, one in the southern part. So such as you have Tong and Lucy. And apart from that, there is one more called Ramidus, which is a big fellow. Can you go back to the chart of Skupin? Go back to the chart of Skupin. Who was the successor of Ramidus? No one. Who was there after Anamensis? After Anamensis, the 2 lines were there. So that actually shows the significance. Ramidus we will be using to show that the life of Australo is so old. I am not asking you to describe about Kadabba, etc. We are not doing that. I am trying to limit based on one, to limit the inconvenience of the student. Even if you are writing several things, you may not be able to take it to the exam. So I am limiting to the level which is desirable for the exam, and also that you should be in a position to take it to the exam safely. And sir, definitely this problem would exist. That today when you are reading, you feel that you remember, tomorrow you are forgetting. That would initially definitely happen. It's not like a Bahubali story that once you remember it gets an imprint and kind of. Not possible. Certain movies can be there like Sampurnesh Babu. you will have to struggle hard to understand, to remember. No choice. When that is the problem, you will have to repeat. How many ever times you can jot down those facts, those bullet points, and the kind of diagrams that number of times. Some of you may be good at that pictorial memory, but some of you may not be so good at it. So based on your standards, you try to see to it that you repeat the things. See, at the end of the day, how much ever circus you do here, at the end of the day, what matters to us is how many marks we are getting there. Somebody who was getting 320, 330, he or she was not having some extra skills. It's that the extra work that goes into it. No complaints, sir. Once you have taken the subject, you should not complain. Just accept as it comes. Now, among those four, the first two gracile, they were the earliest ones. They stole the show for a long time. And there were some fights were also going on between Lucy and Tong. Some people said for a brief period of time, Tong was the older fellow and Lucy was the later fellow. And several other fights, and then various dating methods and number of fossils, and finally people concluded that it was afferensis, that is Lucy first and then Tong. For your convenience, mother should come first, followed by the child. So it is afferensis, Afar, the Eastern African fossil, that is nothing but the Lucy fossil, and south, that is Tong, the baby fossil. So right now, that conclusion is accepted by many. Ramidus, it is believed that it did not leave any ancestry in any successors. Why? Several people have several stories, we are not going into it. Anamensis is important, and you will have to write about it, because it is that individual right now believed to be a common ancestor of genus Homo and several other australofossils. Am I meaningfully talking to you? Ardham lepte vetukkonde ardham. Can't help it. And let us see which others. We'll start with the first one, sir. Australopithecus afarensis. Australopithecus afarensis, or East African Australopithecus. Most of the memorizing should happen in the class itself while you are writing. East African Australopithecus. It was first studied in 1978. In comparison with Africanus. In 1978 by Johansen, you know, right? Johansen, White, and Copenson. During 1980s, the paleontologist White studied the site of Afar, combining biological and cultural characteristics of afarensis. During 1990s, Tim White discovered afarensis fossils at a site called Maka in Tanzania. This site provided sufficiently ample evidence to confirm afferensis as a species and the one that was older to South African Australo, that is Australopithecus africanus. Write down some of the features there. The most significant evidence of afferensis was from the site of Hadar, where the fossils were dated back to 3 million years ago. The Laetoli footprints that existed in the close vicinity of Hadar, if assumed to be those of afferensis can push back the time of afferensis to 3.7 million years ago. Right in the brackets there. This was a conclusion of Buettner Janusz. Right in the next paragraph. With regard to the physical features, right in bullet points, body weight must have been 25 to 50 kilograms. Secondly, dentition was more human, with the canines and the other teeth nearly of equal size. Right, the third bullet point. Janusz indicated the presence of sexual dimorphism in dentition. Meaning you can make out from the dentition whether it's a female or male. Continue writing there. Such a characteristic can be noticed among the gorillas. Among the gorillas. Fourthly, the cranial capacity varied between 400 cc to 600 cc. With a very well developed facial prognathism, full stop, keep writing there. Unlike several other australofossils, Afarensis has an interesting combination of absence of interlocking canines, but having a presence of diastema. See, we told earlier that the function of diastema is to provide a slot to the canine. Now the issue is the canines are not protruding. They are similar to the other ones in the size. But in such a case, what was the requirement of the diastema? That was something inconclusive. So people may safely say that maybe things were slowly getting unfolded. In the later fossils, we are going to see the clear absence of diastema also along with, so the gap between the two different teeth would eventually get fused. Initially people thought that maybe some one teeth must have got broken there, but that kind of an indication is not there. See, if it is one fossil alone, then you might think that okay, this we must have lost one teeth from there. But several fossils have come with the same kind of presence of diastema but lack of interlocking canines. So this might be a characteristic feature of afarensis. Make a note there. Repeated evidence, continue in the same. Repeated evidence of afarensis fossils confirmed that the non-functional diastema could be the characteristic feature of the species and this character was to gradually disappear, leading to a continuous line of teeth, right in the next point. Four-limb skeleton indicates less adaptation to brachiation, hand-on-hand movement on the branches. This can be confirmed from the comparison of apes and afarensis. thumb is more opposable. Afarensis thumb is more opposable than the apes. But was less sophisticated in the hand grip than humans. Right, the next point. The foot structure indicated larger toes and absence of foot arches in spite of the loosey fossil possessing similarity with the humans in the structure of vertebra, knee and hip. For Janusz, the bent posture of afarensis must have led to an energetically costlier bipedalism than Homo sapiens. That was East African. Give a quick reading. We are trying to write classification based on the body size. Write your notes in such a way that you would want to read your own notes, not that you are depending on your neighbor for the photocopy. One question was sent to me: when a fossil is found, how can you confirm that it's an animal fossil or human-like fossil? I think the answer lies in the question itself. The moment you see the skeleton, if at all skull is available, you can readily say so. Or most of the bones for that matter, hand skeleton, foot skeleton or pelvic skeleton, you will be able to confirm whether, so at a single look you will be able to say. The problem will be whether it is Homo sapiens or somebody else. That requires much detailed study. Sir, you have in the previous class written about the tongue fossil, so you write a note there. Australopithecus africanus. The second fossil is Australopithecus africanus. Australopithecus africanus. Sir, we are right now writing about different species of australo. In the previous class, we started with geographical distribution. We were writing about the tongue fossil in the previous class, continued with several other sites in the eastern region. Currently, we are trying to write based on the body size based classification. Two varieties we found in the robust individuals and rest of whole lot of individuals in the gracile category. Now, you have already written about afarensis. We are moving on to the second one. A lot of details you have already written there. I am adding a few more points for africanus. Make a note. Australopithecus africanus. Yesterday you wrote. Yesterday you have written in the class. I mean, just in case. Australopithecus africanus. I am trying to add a few things there, but you write a note, write in the brackets, incorporated in the tongue fossil. Incorporated in the tongue fossil, whatever, who was associated and what kind of research, etc. Right, the physical characteristics. The physical characteristics. Body weight, mana weight manaku gurtundadu, 30 to 60 kilograms. 30 to 60 kilograms. And the height about 3.5 to 4.5 feet. Cranial capacity about 450 cc. Time period 3 to 2 million years ago. Keep writing there. With regard to evolutionary status, it was believed for a long time, that it must have been a definite human ancestor and was initially considered to be older than Afarensis. The latest conclusions indicate that Africanus is later to Afarensis. Africanus is later to Afarensis, and both of them do not fall in the direct evolutionary line, of genus Homo. Instead, it is now agreed that Anamensis is a common ancestor to Africanus and Afarensis, and genus Homo. Let us look at the other one. We'll take up the third one. Australopithecus ramidus. It was originally called Ardipithecus ramidus, due to its morphological closeness to Ardipithecus kadaba. Later, based on characteristics of bipedalism, they are assumed to be astrolo. Underline the word assume, to be astrolo. Keep writing. Ramidus evidences were found in the savanna regions of Africa. In the savanna regions of Africa. The first excavator was Jensua, 1994. He dated the fossil to 4.5 million years ago and was definitely older than Afarensis. In 1995, Craig Stanford questioned one of the basic assumptions related to Ramidus, that is, whether it was a biped. According to him, Ramidus was mostly an arboreal individual. Hence bipedalism is difficult to confirm. Nevertheless, the existing fossils such as fragmented limb bones, toe bones, lower jaw and teeth, make Ramidus more closer to humans than apes such as chimpanzee. Jensua opines that inhabiting woodlands does not automatically make Ramidus an arboreal individual. it might be quite possible that it was a terrestrial fossil. It was a terrestrial fossil with more dependence on the trees. He gives the example of gorilla. He gives the example of gorilla. Which depends on trees for biological and cultural necessities. Underline the word cultural. For biological and cultural necessities. But is mostly terrestrial. When he says cultural, it is where you actually live. It is not arboreal living creature. It lives on the ground, under the trees. And we were, I think, mentioning this in one of our earlier classes, that this is one ape that is very selective about how its bed has to be, how its nest has to be. The regular maintenance of nest, it is something like a cultural thing. That's what he tries to compare there. Keep writing.
How is the bipedal is recognized from the bipedal?
The 5 digits that they found, 5 digits almost of the same size, and the kind of arrangement they found, it indicates that maybe he was already becoming a biped. It's not that the hallux was in the opposite direction. That gives enough clue that possibly he was biped. Hand skeleton also was showing very different kind of a skeleton when compared to foot skeleton. So if at all it was a quadruped, there would not be much of a difference in the upper limbs and lower limb structure. But when such a variation occurs, and interestingly, at some places they found high similarity in the bone ratios between chimpanzee and this particular individual. So chimpanzee, of course, though is a quadruped, it occasionally is a biped. And it starts to hold objects, etc. Maybe this was slightly an advancement over that. Keep writing. Jensua indicated that. The limb skeleton, the limb skeleton of Ramidus can suggest the ancient nature than afarensis. Currently it is believed, write in the brackets, though inconclusively, that Ramidus must not have left the successors and must have got extinct. Full stop. The controversy related to The controversy related to positioning Dramidus in the human evolutionary line is still active. The two opposing groups are in search of relevant data to confirm either it is in the line of anamensis or had branched out. Sir, keep the Skupin's chart in the mind without fail. Come to the next one. Australoanamensis. Australoanamensis, that is the region, Lake Turkana, Kenya, that is the time period 4.2 to 3.9. So it is all the probabilities only. Maybe, probably. So keep writing. Anamensis was named by Leakey. Anamensis was named by Leakey in 1995 based on the fossil finds from the site of Kanapoi, in Kenya. It was a massive fossil evidence. It was a massive fossil evidence consisting of 9 skulls. The site was instrumental in confirming evidence of anamensis that was earlier found at a couple of other sites in Kenya. When compared to RD, ARDI, RD or Ramidus, anamensis possessed more similarities in femur with the humans. The rounding of the skull was noticed clearly compared to Ramidus and RD. Certain thinkers believe that other than these, several characteristics of anamensis are comparable to those of robust astrology, Based on this, an emphasis is placed as a common ancestor to several astrologers and genus Homo. Come to the next one. Robust astrology. Robust astrology. That was the first name, Paranthropus bossi. Paranthropus bossi. Keep writing. The significant sites include Olduvai and Pennage in Eastern Africa. It was first studied by Leakey and is confirmed to be a fossil from 2 to 1 million years ago. From 2 to 1 million years ago. Even when compared to Robustus, the Bossi exhibited more robust characteristics. In terms of body weight and stature, though it resembled Robustus, it's a very heavy brow ridges. And the largest teeth when compared to all the australofossils made him gain the title of Nutcracker Man. Underline the next sentence. Bossi was the first fossil to be dated by using any absolute dating method. That is his photograph. That right hand side picture you will be drawing. Make a brief drawing. పెయింట్ అవసరం లేదు, డ్రాయింగ్ అవుట్లైన్ డ్రాయింగ్ షోయింగ్ దట్ వీ షేప్డ్ స్కల్. ఇది వద్దులే, అది వేసుకోండి. Based on each individual's capability. This is the simplest of all the skulls that you can draw. It's only one V shape, then you have two half circles. Now people are busy, तेरा कैसा है, मेरा कैसा है, हाँ? Good. Can I go? What happened? Right on. I know more than necessary enjoyment is happening. Australopithecus robustus, keep writing there. Australopithecus robustus that was previously called Paranthropus robustus. Paranthropus robustus was found at the sites of Omo in East Africa, Kromdroy, Omo in East Africa, OMO, Swartkrans and Kromdroy in Southern Africa. Swartkrans and Kromdroy in Southern Africa. It was dated to 2 to 1.5 million years ago. 2 to 1.5 million years ago by the Leakeys. Its cranial capacity 530 cc, right in the brackets, similar to Bossie. Its dentition indicated harsh vegetative diet. When compared to Bossie, the sagittal crest is less evolved. But it has more robust supraorbital ridges, more robust supraorbital ridges forming a heavy bony attachment, unlike bossy that had a relatively feeble supraorbital ridges. Your picture should show for one fellow a heavier sagittal crest, for the other fellow smaller one. In the case of bossy, you should be drawing less robust supraorbital ridges, and in this case you should be able to indicate more. And those are the teeth you may see, more or less resemble your own teeth. Maybe in size they might be bigger, in number they might be less, but by the time we come to these people, can I go to the next one? Keep writing, sir. There have been, I thought you have finished drawing. అంటే ఒక లైనే కదా ఏముంది. The cap that you have here, the Nehru cap, we call that sagittal crest. This is sagittal, a crest-like thing. That would be less obvious in the case of robustus. There are two things of comparison. One is this, the other is this. When this is more, this is less. ఇది ఎక్కువ ఉంటే ఇది తక్కువ ఉంటుంది. I don't know whether my movie will happen today. Write down. Comparisons and conclusions. Write a statement there. Comparisons and conclusions. Madam, when you are drawing the orbits for astrolabe, don't draw them round. Round orbits is a human character. Round orbits is a human character. You should somehow make maybe something like, oval shaped, or maybe in this particular case you have almost a rounded square. Neat ga untadani round ga veyaddu. As if that is not sufficient, you don't put eyebrows also. Eyebrows petti, bottu petti, and comparison and conclusions regarding the diet of the two robust variants has been a constant area of debate. Has been a constant area of debate. Opinions such as robustus being carnivorous, need more credible data. Nevertheless, such narrations help paleontologists give their own hypotheses and generate stories. Write a side head there. Cultural aspects of astrology. Cultural aspects of astrology. If you could recall, lower Paleolithic, we started with Homo erectus. This is much before that. Right down. According to Leakey, the more evolved astrolo species must have been the first tool user. Material for the tools were stone and small bones. Presence of broken animal bones indicates possible use of them for cutting or scraping. According to Raymond Dart, astrology depended very little on the stone and must have used bone, teeth and horn of bigger animals. He named this culture. Those are the three names: osteodonto-keratic, bone, teeth and horn culture. Right down. Among the astrolo, evidence of settlements is a debatable and inconclusive element. The only existing possibility or evidence to prove an intentional work in the construction of settlements was the discovery by Leakey's in the East African site of Omo, a semicircular arrangement of stones thatched with mud such a structure at such a geological time raised curiosity. Right in the next point there. According to David Pilbeam, who is considered an authority of Homo erectus, Astrolo must have started using some form of vocalization to communicate. For him, it is still an issue to confirm that whether Astrolo was a group living individual full stop. If confirmed, one has to look at the kind of food getting. In the analysis of Homo erectus, Pilbeam concluded that Pilbeam concluded that because erectus was involved in group hunting, there was a need to communicate. The emergence of erect posture and the ocal structures definitely show a possibility of some kind of a communication. As these strong points do not exist with Astrolo, it is difficult to confirm use of language. Nevertheless, Astrolo, with its skeletal features, approaching human, is a definite ancestor of genus Homo. According to Skupin, with more and more fossil evidences, one would be able to confirm in the future who was much closer to Homo erectus than Australopithecus anamensis. That is for your long question. All inclusive, like geographical location, physical characteristics, or various other arguments. As far as does it mean that I should shut up? Sir, you will start with this picture, Homo erectus. A lot of time is left out. There's a lot of time left. You first start with this picture. Then we will see the evolutionary lines of different Homo or of Homo erectus. Then we'll see the geographical location. Looks very beautiful actually. There is one word on which I would want you to focus. Nuchal torus. Actually, the same picture is available in your material also. Having understood that you will not be carrying your material, I thought it would be better to give you this and draw. A receding forehead, very heavy brow ridges, nuchal torus, draw in whichever way you can, but do draw. Label them properly. So you are actually trying to superimpose the labels on something that is not clear. The examiner will understand. I am actually looking for a question such as different geographical variants of Homo erectus. Geographical variants of Homo erectus. So if that is the question, you will have to write about 3 fellows. One is the Peking fellow, the other is from Java, the other is from India, one from Africa. So 4 people there. If you don't understand the question, you will simply write the general characteristics of Homo erectus. You will be very happy talking about Zirconium. And maybe Lady Luck smiles, you remember the example, you say that in India also we have one. I am looking for about a 25 to 30 marker. So those regional variants we will be elaborating in the next class, but then we will be writing a few other things, looking at few other pictures today. But then that AV to be watched in the class alone, there are a lot of things to take from that. Don't forget, sir, the teeth of erectus. They're so nicely arranged. One line of teeth on the other, meeting each other from the beginning to the end. So you can involve yourself much more. Compare your teeth with several other fossils. See with whom your teeth match. Who of you are very happy with your own pictures? Can I see the hands? Good. These are all very nice pictures. It's as if you are writing a textbook. All the pictures you draw on 1 or 2 pages and keep referring to them. आपका देना. Please. I love most of what she draws in the class. So even while dictating, I keep looking at her whether she has finished or not. She's actually my, no? She decides my speed in the class. A bonus for drawing well. Can I go? In the meantime, I talk about this. The meaning of nuchal torus. In one of our later classes, especially when we come to Neanderthal man, in the case of Neanderthal man, we are going to get one term called occipital bun. In both these cases, in the case of erectus and in the Neanderthal, we see a bit of pulling of the skull to the backside. But there you see elongated, much more elongated skull in the case of Neanderthal, and we call it occipital bun. Now when I am saying that both of them have an elongated feature at the rear of the skull, they are not one and the same. One is a variant called nuchal torus, the other is actually a occipital bun. What it means is, in the case of Neanderthal, when the skull is getting pulled or expanded, the actual space inside the skull is also expanding, indicating more space for the brain. Whereas in this particular case, the nuchal torus indicates very heavily thick bones there. It is not actually giving more space to the brain. It is actually indicating that there are very thick cranial bones. I hope you understood the difference. So, by looking at the external volume, in many of the fossils they found that Homo erectus and Neanderthal, they almost had the same kind of area that is occupied, if at all you see the external feature, in terms of volume. But if you look at the inside of the skull, you find more space for Neanderthal, less for this particular fellow. Sir, these are the pictures that you will be drawing, redrawing several of them. You start with them once again. The phylogenetic status of Homo erectus. I think the first two you can easily draw, linear evolution and the two-branch model of Johansen and White. I know that you have written these charts at least twice in the class so far, but it's okay, one more time. బాగుంది అని చూస్తూ ఆనందించడం కాదు, రాయండి. Who is older, Afarensis or Africanus? Afarensis. If you say that it is Africanus, you are not there in the class. The 2 hours that you had already spent in the class is of no use. Which of the fossil we were discussing as somebody who got extinct without leaving any offspring? Ramidus. Thank you. Which is a bigger fellow, Robustus or Bossy? Which is a bigger fellow, Robustus or Bossy? ఎవడైతే మాకెందుకు. So when it is Lucy fossil, what will you write? About whom? Afarensis. Who was involved in Lucy? Who was involved with Lucy? Now, can I go? I mean, ఇంకా అదే రాస్తూ ఉన్నారా నేను అనుకున్నాను. You are already making the charts. Two-branch model. I was not expecting you to write those 5 names and sit happily, relaxing. This anyway, you know, Johansen-White model. Let me take you to the other ones. This is the other two-branch model, sir. I did not give this anywhere, so kindly make a note of this. This is the other two-branch model that was briefly in acceptance. Afarensis gave rise to 2 lines of. So can you make out the difference between Johansen-White model and this one? Give me 1 minute. Just have a look at that. So you don't have Africanus here. Whereas in this particular case, Africanus was in the direct line of evolution of genus Homo. For Johansen and White, Afarensis was the common ancestor. From Afarensis, 2 lines of evolution came. One for Africanus and other robust individuals. The other went for Homo. Here we see can I go? There are good lot of habilis based models. Habilis based models. At least 2 or 3 we will see. Habilis based models. So it seems to be an extension of the previous one that you have drawn. Afarensis giving rise to Robustus and Bossy. Africanus, then you have Habilis. So the 2 fellows, Astrolo and Erectus, they have the potential of big questions. So you should respect them. Ji sir. We don't say one particular, so it like you know, it got acceptance gradually. So we don't associate with. Whereas when it comes to the two-branch model of Johansen and White, they have formally mentioned it in a paper, submitted and kind of. So sometimes what happens is certain ideas, they emerge and they spread among people without even knowing who must have given. Whereas when you come to this one, this was said by Kopenson's model. I didn't want to complicate with so many names. This is Kopenson's model. Can I go? Sir? Done? This is the first habilis based model that I am giving. This is the second one. Keep looking at what you have drawn earlier. Can I go? Or you want me to go to the previous one? Now he pulls Africanus down. You are removing Africanus from the homo line, putting it down here. In some of the batches, we don't talk about habilis based models at all, but I thought you can take some bit of load. So it's like based on your capability to be loaded. And so people are quietly taking the load. We keep on increasing. Amma anevaraku. So for all the models, you need not have to specify the name. Can I go, sir? I am asking who are writing. This is the other one. Another habilis based model. There was some unknown ancestor, so afferences you pulled that side. Some unknown ancestor. So now can you conclude who could be that unknown fellow? Anamensis. So now you can say that that could be Anamensis who gave rise to the two lines. Can I? There is this one. This also we did not do earlier. It's a 3-branch model of Alan Walker. 3-branch model of Alan Walker. So what's happening here is afferensis is a common ancestor. There are 3 lines of evolution, one of Homo, the other, you see that 2 smaller fellows, one is Africanus, the other is Ethiopicus. They are giving rise to 2 different robust individuals. Of course, there are not many takers now to this school. Can I go? Anyway, you would be coming a little early to the class. Even before I come, you are there. You know? So while you are waiting, those 10-15 minutes, you try drawing all those evolutionary maps of erectus. It would be more appreciative if you could draw the skulls also of the two variants, the robust variants of Astralo, one tongue fossil, Lucy I don't want, tongue fossil, and then erectus. 4 fossils, evolutionary lines, and then you can perhaps garnish it with that revised model we have drawn in the previous class, Skupin's model. That would come. Can you draw without seeing your previous class notes? Somebody on the board? Somebody on the board? I think it has been 2 or 3 classes since we have been talking about the Skupin's model. Who? Astara? Will you? Me parent amma. Nikita. Will you? Friend, quickly. From the last bench also we want one representative so that you enlighten us with your knowledge. Come. Don't be stingy. Use the entire paper. Don't be stingy. In the exam you will anyway be. She is drawing Skupin's chart of evolution starting from Kadabba to Homo sapiens. In the meantime, you finish on your papers without seeing your previous note. I actually would want to invite some people who are constantly laughing from the last benches. In the exam situation, less than 1 minute. The picture has to come in less than 1 minute. ANA, anamensis. ANAMEN, not D, that is N. Ramidus DUS. Somebody who can continue from anamensis? From the last, IMM, please. Lovely. Come. Thank you so much. చిన్నప్పుడు స్కూల్లో క్వశ్చన్ అడిగితే అబ్బా నేను చెప్తా అంటు యాక్చువల్లీ ఐ వాంట్ దాట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఎ రియాక్షన్ వెన్ ఎ క్వశ్చన్ ఈజ్ ఆస్క్డ్. వెనకాల కూర్చొని నన్ను పెద్దగా రాయమని చెప్పడం కాదనమాట. ఏం పేరమ్మా? వాట్స్ యువర్ నేమ్? ఎక్కడ పెడదాం వాళ్ళని? వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారని అయితే తెలుసు. ఓకే, దట్ షుడ్ బి అబౌవ్ దట్ డైవర్షన్. Above the diversion. Afarensis is not human ancestor, so that should be somewhere there. Anything else?
I forgot one word.
ठीक है, thank you. Anything that you want to correct in that? And Jason, faster. Come. I think there's something here. Neanderthal, you need to give a different line. And how about this one? Red. Come. Quickly. ఇది తీసేయాలా అప్పుడు? Thank you. And whenever you are drawing, see to it that Sapiens is much above all these fellows. So first you fix Sapiens position, then you insert the rest of them. And of course our friends did not start with writing anything related to time period. You will have to also mention the time period. So tomorrow before I come, you finish your evolutionary charts and the fossil pictures of Tong fossil, robust astrolo 2 pictures, and then erectus, and whatever extra that you can do. Have a good time. See you tomorrow. Anything else? Yeah, this one you'll have to. I could not go to the movie, so tomorrow we will try doing that. It is the 28th class. We had finished astrolo in all aspects, and then we are right now doing Homo erectus. You will largely depend on your class note.
Do we have cognitive theories for the exam?
No. No. అంటే పేపర్ అవుట్ చేస్తున్నారా లేకపోతే? I haven't given any tribal profiles. I was sticking only to thought, and maybe one question from archaeology might come. Or do you want me to give the question paper? Super asla. Have a good time, sir.